What's up, everybody? Welcome to DadSignal. This is a show for dads. This is a show for dads that want to be better versions of themselves. My name is Doug Wilson. Really excited to get started today. If you're here watching live, because we are live right now, if you're here watching, then you are part of something super special in that you are part of our very first episode. Um, so shout out to you. Very excited that you're here. If you're listening on wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple Music, then welcome. You are part of our very first episode. Today, we're going to be talking about emotional intelligence when it comes to fatherhood. So a little bit about this show. Again, it's for dads. It's for dads that just we want to have a good time. We want to talk shop. We want to talk about what's going on in our week, the things that we're dealing with in life. We talk about some wins on the show. We talk about dad losses, some lessons learned, and then we get into an actual like development topic every single week. I'm a leadership development and emotional intelligence coach. That's what I do professionally. I've been doing that for a while now. And I figured it's time to redirect all of that to where I feel like it really matters most in the leader of the home, in those that are wanting to show up and again be better versions of themselves. That is who this show is for. Maybe you're a spouse. Maybe you're not a dad yet. Maybe you're a first time dad, or going to be a dad soon. Uh, maybe you're a spouse, or maybe you're a wife of someone who is a dad, and you're checking it out because you're like, hey, maybe we can find some ways to get this guy's emotional intelligence up a little bit. Then that is perfect. We're glad you're here, whoever you are, for whatever reason you're here. We're happy you're here, and we're gonna jump right in. We're gonna break it down. So each episode is gonna have a little check-in. So we'll talk about the recap for the week. We'll talk about a dad win. We'll talk about a dad loss. So if you're tuned in live, then definitely go in the chat. I'd love to hear your recap, what your win is, what your loss was for the week, a lesson that you maybe learned throughout the week that you wanted to share. But I'll share mine. We'll go into some live. I'll call out some comments. Anything that anyone wants to share and put in the chat, feel free. And then if you're listening later to the recorded version of this, put it in the comments, right? Share in the comments. Would love to hear it. I'll read it, shout it out on next week's episode. And then we get into the breakdown. So we'll talk about the actual development topic. So this week is emotional intelligence in fatherhood. It's kind of the foundational component of a lot of what we'll be talking about on the show every week. So I figured it'd be a good place to start is with emotional intelligence. And then we'll kind of wrap up with a challenge, right? So between now and next week, is there something that we can put ourselves to the test with to try a new thing, try to be more intentional about, showing up and being present, something like that we can comment back and forth on and talk about in next week's episode and in our next check-in and see how things are going. So that'll be the breakdown of the show. Again, first episode, so we'll see what comes of this and how everything goes, but always wanting to hear feedback, always wanting, of course, for everybody that's tuned in to engage. The whole reason we're doing this live is to create a bit of a community, a dad community, that we can lean on each other for support, and how I can help however possible, right? I can use what I've done professionally for almost 10 years now to help some other dads. This is a way for me to stay intentional on development and growing myself, so that I can have things to talk about, be introspective and actually reflect on my week and stuff, so that I can be entertained while we do this, right? So on that note, we're gonna get into this week's recap. Our very first update for this week is that my son Luca loves some Zoboomafo. All right. If you don't remember Zoboomafo, if you never saw that, it might be time to revisit or check that out for the first time. But if you have kids and they watch Wildcrats on PBS Kids, the Chris and Martin Kratt brothers. Uh, that's their show now, but originally they were Zoboomafo, right? They were with this, I think, the lemur. Uh, and I forgot so much about how the show was set up that they you have to feed him first before he ends up talking back, and then he turns into like a puppet, and he's funny. And the show is actually a little unhinged, which is pretty cool. Now how shows are going back and watching that, it's like wow, they really just they were really just doing whatever they wanted with these shows. But Luca loves it, and so Luca's 4 years old. He's my oldest boy. I have three kids. I have a 7-year-old daughter, Avery, a 4-year-old son, Luca, and then Shiloh is our other boy that is 17. No, yeah, 17 months. Yeah, 17 months. I was about to say, my wife is going to listen to this and hit me with the, "You don't know how old your son is." But he's about to be 18 months. We'll check that. We'll do some after some screen time, watch some film and see if I got that right. Those are my three kids. Luca, he's 4. He loves Zaboomafoo. All right. We were watching it the other night. He was watching Blippy. I was like, bro, we gotta try something else and try something new. I saw this just as like in a thumbnail on YouTube and was like, buddy, Wildcraft? He's like, yeah. I'm like, these are the guys. But when they were younger, and they just did their thing. So it talks about animals. We watched one about I think alligators, and then there was one about some lizard that was like looked like a dinosaur. And he was locked in, dialed in the whole time. Even the next day, my wife texted me and was like, "I put some Boom Fu on," because I texted her and was like, just so you know, we were watching Zaboom Fu last night. So when he wakes up, he's gonna want to watch that, um, and that might come out of left field for you because we didn't talk about the fact that he was watching. So yeah, even the next day he was dialed in. Really, really great stuff. Good, engaging show for your kid that is also good content. So if you want to check that out, then I definitely highly recommend it. Very nostalgic too for you, if you grew up on that like I did. All right, next thing, Super Mario Galaxy, the movie is out, and this thing looks like it's no joke. All right. So we're going to take the kids tomorrow. I know, so technically it hasn't happened yet. So I'm not recapping, but I'm recapping the fact that we found out that this movie came out, and we just recently watched the first Super Mario Brothers movie again because we watched it. I mean, we watched it like a million times, but we put it back on just the other night because we haven't seen it in a long time. Boy, these kids, they were like, Bowser. It was like they were watching it again for the first time. So it was perfect timing that now we're going to take them tomorrow to go see Super Mario Galaxy. Avery's favorite character is Rosalina. So she's going to be freaking out. And then they got Bowser Jr. So I know, Luca's a big Bowser fan. It's going to be great. It is going to be fantastic. My wife's mom is going to come over and watch Shiloh because I don't know that he'll enjoy the movie theater just yet. Um, but we're excited. Yeah, we're excited to check that out. I'm also selfishly because I again grew up on Mario, so that's a big thing for me. Very excited, and it makes me want to play the Super Mario Galaxy game again because it's been probably over 10 years since doing that. All right. And in more important in more important news, uh your boy's golf swing is getting really dialed in. And I've been working at it. I went there for a stint there. My practice net at home broke. My driver also broke. So it was rough. It was rough there for a pocket. Um, but I'm back, and I've been really, really dialing in the hand the grip, going from neutral to a little bit, tighter grip. Um, the swing is getting really in motion. I feel the movements the way that it's supposed to be going. And I'm definitely not as good as Rory on the screen there, but I'm getting there. So excited for that. Golf is like a side quest in my life right now that I developed an itch for um, a few months ago, maybe like five, six, I don't even know, September of last year. Getting pretty close to a year, but yeah, I've been hooked ever since. Bought clubs and have just been practicing. I finally have a good setup with my net launch monitor. Any golf heads out there, I can share my setup. Pretty cost effective, I'll say, and really can get the results that you're looking for in a practice session without having to go to a driving range and all of that stuff. But yeah, only issue is when I start getting tired, I can't. The ball will be on the tee, and I'm missing the ball, but hitting the tee because my form is just completely blown. Um, so I got to work on some endurance. That's gonna tie into my dad loss of the week a little bit when we get there a little bit later. But um, I gotta say I'm pretty happy. My first time ever going to see this is going to turn into a rant about golf, but my first time ever going to a driving range, not a driving range. First time I actually played a full 18 holes. Broke 100, got 98. Right, so like generally that's not great, but I feel like for your first time, that's a pretty solid effort. I had been to the driving range a few times before, so I had kind of a feel for what I was doing, but you know, the last few days, this past week, I've been really intentional about practicing specific things with my swing and making sure that I'm staying over the ball to get a real flush contact, um, and not hitting the ground before the ball because I struggle with that a lot. Anyway, so that's really the keynote moment for my week is that my golf swing. It's been a while since I've played, and coming right back into it, I feel like I maybe absorbed so much content that it like somehow manifested in my skill. But it feels like I improved since not playing for a while. Maybe that's a thing. I don't know. But you tell me, right? If anyone's popping in, wants to jump in the chat or comment if you're watching the recording of this, um, what's your golf life looking like, and how can we be there for each other and encourage each other through this journey that is golf? Because I'm trying to get good. I'm trying to get real good, and I think I can do it. So we'll see. Anyway, first dad win. It's springtime, folks, and your boy mowed the lawn. So I'm gonna call that my win for the week. First mowed lawn of the season. Um, Man, that's not my house, by the way, because that would look fantastic. That would be phenomenal. My yard doesn't look like that, but it is nice and clean, edged, right? All the stuff. I just got to do it. We got to, I was telling my wife about this. She was like, "Yeah, the backyard, but you didn't mow the front. Front, it's not fully grown in yet. See, we're still in that pocket where the grass is still kind of yellow. It's like not growing the way it's supposed to. I'm not gonna go crazy trying to do the whole thing. Let me wait until everything's long enough that I can actually cut. All right. So that's what's going on with the front, but we'll get there. That's my win for the week. We're honestly was like, I'm gonna leave it at one. I can't really think of too many. So we'll get into the dad law. We'll get into the dad law. Yeah. And this stemmed from golf. This stemmed from, playing a virtual 18 holes at Woodbridge over there in McKinney. Shout out Woodbridge. That is actually where I broke 100. It's where I scored 98. But I was playing a virtual hole and doing well. Bogeys. I hit a par a couple times. Birdie actually once, which was uh, special. It was actually a special moment for me. I was like, you know what? I don't trust that my pitching wedge is enough here. I'm gonna club up. I'm gonna do a 9 iron, and I almost hold the ball. It landed like a yard away from the hole, which was like, I know this is simulated golf, so this isn't the real thing, but the thought process, I started thinking about things and was like, maybe if instead of just kind of going at it and swinging, let me think about where I should position myself, all of those things, and really started playing smart golf, and lowering my score a little bit. I think I ended with like a 97, still right around the same area there. Uh, but I was getting gassed after like the 13th or 14th hole. And I realized that I really need to exercise. I'm looking like SpongeBob. I'm looking like SpongeBob hard right now, and not drinking enough water. I know me saying that, if you're listening, if you're listening, you're like, oh God, I don't want to talk about this. But yeah, that's my loss. I think it's gonna keep being my loss until I start doing something about it, and that's why I put it there, because yeah, I'm like sick of myself. I'm sick of myself when it comes to my health, and I would just, on a deeper level, I want to think about, like, as my kids grow, they're going to want to play, they're going to want to be in sports, they're going to want to do all these things. Even now, even right now, 4, 7, almost 18 months, they're running me in circles, and I can't. I'm barely keeping up with these kids, and I need to be able to. I want to be able to be at a place where they're tired. I'm like, "What's up? Let's go. Let's go another round." And they're like, "No, no." They look like SpongeBob. I need water. They need water, not me. They need water. So that's what I'm striving for. If we can get there, that'll be a good. That'll feel good for me. Um, I don't know about y'all, but what's your dad loss? Put it in the comments. I want to hear, what did you fail at? What did you fail at this week? I'm trying to think too, because this is this is a larger scale loss for me. This is over a long term. I haven't been exercising for a long time, and I've been bad with drinking water for a long time. So I'm putting this here as a reminder to say, this is something that you need to work on daily. Start slow, work your way up, but be intentional about it. Try maybe something specifically in the week that that was a loss. I think it'll go into my lesson. Yeah, it'll kind of tie into my lesson for the week. So I'll navigate us there. Um, but drink water. Yeah, drink water, exercise, go outside, take a walk. You know, take care of yourself. Your kids need you. Your kids need you, bro. All right. My lesson for the week came from actually church this past Sunday, and it wasn't the topic of the sermon, but it was something that the pastor kept just like dangling in there, just dropping in there every so often. He talked about living on God's time. This kind of ties into, if I had to call out a loss for the week, I would say it's like my level of presence, or just like being too caught up in feeling like I don't have enough time, and it like really actually like freaking me out a little bit, to where, you know, even like this podcast was something that I've wanted to start for a very long time. It's part of a larger picture or goal that I have in mind for myself and for the business that I'm wanting to start, and how I want the structure of my life to be. And what that's going to mean for the structure of my family and how we're able to spend time with each other and how we're able to do things that we'd like to do. It's all, I feel like it all stems from being able to take the step to do these kinds of things. And I have been so apprehensive and just like, I don't know if I'm ready, right? Or if what happens if I fail? What happens if I succeed? But it's like I can't keep up with the scale of how well it's doing. Um, and so basically psyching myself out to where I'm not doing anything and I'm standing still for, weeks on end, then realizing that like, hey, 5 years ago, this is something that you said you wanted to do. Where would you be now if you had started back then? All of that to say, I started thinking, I don't know what is the right answer between waiting and making sure you feel prepared and just going to make sure you don't waste too much time. Because, yes, I'm 31. I recognize that that's still a pretty young age. A lot of the younger millennium and our millennial generation is probably feeling similarly and thinking the same things, or maybe coming into uh, Gen Z as they're getting older and getting into that area of life. They're thinking like, oh boy, uh, I'm not old, but I'm not 18 anymore. I'm not 20. I'm 25 now, or maybe you're getting older. So that's how I feel, is like, I'm not necessarily a teenager. I can't really lean on the fact that I have a bunch of time. My body feels like it's getting older. And so that's like always a constant reminder of the fact that I'm sitting right now, working a 9 to 5. I don't want to be. Um, I want to spend more time with my family, more time with my kids, my wife, more time playing golf, right? Do it, personal hobbies, things that I want to get into. And so um, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I've been struggling with feeling like there's not enough time for all the things that I want to do, right? So all the things that I just talked about, starting a business, and even growing my relationship with God, and like this time that know that I'm supposed to be spending reading my Bible, or praying, or meditating, or trying to just be more intentional about the spiritual side of my life. And I'm like, there's so many things to do, and I can't find the time to do all of it, and it just feels like too much pressure. So that's what I feel like the loss for the week for me was like. I felt like I caved under all of the pressure, trying to juggle all of these things, prioritizing time with my wife, prioritizing time with my kids, being at work from, I wake up at like 5:30 in the morning to get to work, so that I can get there early, so that I can leave relatively early, but then I still get home around like 5, and we're going pretty much right into dinner and then our bedtime routine. Um, and then it's clean up and wrap up for the night, and then you're doing the same thing over the next day. So it's like, where am I supposed to find all the time to prioritize all these different things and and still be present? So even while I'm spending time with my kids, I'm thinking about all the other things I have to do, or while I'm at work, I'm thinking about all the things I have to do at home. So I'm never fully present anywhere that I am, and that just makes it feel like more pressure. Am I the only one that that's living like that, or what? Because it doesn't feel good, which is wild because I, I find myself stuck there so often, even though I hate feeling that way. Um, and so I thought about these 5 things in hearing the like live God's time type of message. There were 5 things that came to me that I wanted to share in the lesson here. So the first thing is to trust God's time over your own, and this is probably like the overarching theme of everything that I feel like I maybe should have learned sooner or realized sooner, so that I didn't have this kind of week that I had. But uh, moving with purpose, right? Instead of with pressure and feeling like you have to run in every single direction, everything's on fire. We got to put out all the fires, and you're reactive, and you're not thinking intentionally. You're not thinking straight. You're just kind of, everything's freaking you out, right? Because you're dialed up to 11 and you're almost like panicking, right, with all the stuff that you have to do. And even the slightest thing of like, oh, it's trash day. And you just even that will send you over, when normally it's like, bro, what are you talking about? Trash day. Just take out the trash, not a big deal. So moving with purpose, right, being intentional about the things that you're choosing to engage in. And I'm noticing that the hecticness, the chaotic feeling of like there's too many things to do. I'm going to run out of time. Like, what happens when I'm 35 and I haven't accomplished what I want to? And I don't have any control over that happening. So I'm just worrying about the future. I have anxiety about things that haven't happened yet. And what I realized from that is that's the opposite of having faith, right? Because if you have faith that God is going to take care of the things that He said that He's going to take care of in your life, then you'd have peace, right? You wouldn't be so worried about the things that you don't know are going to happen, or the what ifs and all those kinds of things. It would be like, well, I don't know, but I don't need to know, because I know what God said. That's why I put Deuteronomy there, 31:8. And that was crazy too, because my wife got this little jar for her birthday, from her aunt. Shout out Aunt Tammy. But she got her like these little, anytime you're worried or anytime you're stressed or whatever, pull these little papers and they have different Bible verses on them. Um, and this was what she pulled, and it was the same one that I pulled, and it was the same one thing that I read in my Bible like the day before or something like that. And you can see it there, but it says the Lord Himself goes before you and will be with you. He'll never leave you or forsake you. Don't be afraid. Don't be discouraged. And if you believe that, like a lot of us say that we do, then why would we be so worried, right? Why would we uh, be running around like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to get all these things done, and you're almost moving so fast that you're not getting anything done. It's just to feel like you're making some kind of movement. Um, that was one big moment for me. It was like, I need to trust that He knows what's happening as long as I'm doing my part, right? He knows what's happening. He knows what time is enough and what isn't. Um, and if we're here, we have a purpose, right? So we got to trust that things are going to happen in the time that they're meant, rather than us making them happen in the time that we feel they need to happen, right? The other thing was obedience over urgency. So it's a little in line with what I was just talking about, not chasing every single opportunity that pops up. And this is huge for me because I could go real far back to last year. Uh, August of last year, I got laid off from my job, and that was a huge moment for me. That was like right leading up to that. I had been praying and thinking about like, what is it that I'm meant to be doing, even though I'm asking myself this, but I really know, because it's the thing that's been sitting on my mind forever, which is this, right? Is sitting down and using my knowledge and experience and all of that. Not like I'm some kind of prolific expert on these topics, but um, it's a voice, right? It's somebody that can speak some of this out there, and I feel like that's what I've been called to do for so long, that I literally got the sense of, man, God's gonna take away my job if I keep making that the reason why I'm not doing what He's asking me to do. Because I kept saying I'm too busy with work and all this different stuff, and I had this thing on my head of like, if I'm not careful and I keep kicking this can down the road, when I know I'm supposed to be doing this thing, like almost like Jonah, um, and Jonah and the whale and that whole story. And sure enough, right, that happened. Other things in our life happened in our family that was like, what is going on? And me realizing like, wow, I think this is, I think this is one of those like realization moments of like, wow, I need to right the ship, and tried to, did what I needed to do to get my head back in where it needed to be. But then in finding a job again, I slipped right back into that mindset of like, oh, I'm too busy. When am I going to have time to start this? But then feeling out of place at work because the passion's not there, because this is where my passion is. Anyway, so don't chase every opportunity, anything that pops up just for because you feel like you need to make more money or something like that. And then you end up forgetting what your calling was. I think that's where faith comes in, that you follow what the calling is. And if that's where God's calling you, then you got to have faith that He has something ready for you if you're going to go down that path. It's not like He's asking you to take on this mission and then you do that and you go bankrupt and lose everything, right? That's not the God that we serve, right? So if He says that if He's going to ask you to go somewhere, that He's already been there and got it prepared for you. So um, we got to be obedient in following what our calling is. And then slow until smooth. If you remember nothing else in this entire episode, however long we're going to be, uh, remember slow until smooth. This is something that I eventually found out comes from the Navy SEALs, elite team of Navy SEALs, and it's almost like their mantra that they say about things: slow until smooth, because smooth is faster than speed. I'm going to say that one more time: slow until smooth, because smooth is faster than speed. Sometimes we just feel like we have to move so fast to get stuff done that we end up making it take longer because we're messing up and we're stumbling over what we're doing. We're not doing a good job because we're rushing. So we end up needing to take more time that way than if we just dial it in, focus, breathe, one thing at a time. Slow until smooth. First time I heard it, golf. So I don't know if you're someone listening that you're like, this guy's talking about golf. typical, typical dad, typical guy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it teaches you stuff like this. Slow until smooth. That goes for everything. That goes for everything that you do. And this is also awesome because I would love for my kids to, when they grow up, watch this show back. And there's times where I'm obviously not thinking about these larger life lessons when I'm hanging out with them. So it'd be really, really dope if they grew up and watched this again and was like, oh, wow, he was actually smart. He was actually talking about things that make sense. Anyways, the third thing, patience in unseen seasons. This is where I feel like the season that I've been in for a while is like, there's growth happening, but it's so minor, or it's not attached to any tangible, actionable result, that it feels like no progress is being made. And so in this like valley, it just feels like I'm just wasting time, right? In reality, I'm learning things, I'm gaining experience as a dad, I'm trying new things, exploring new things that interest me. Um, I'm reading, right? I'm gathering information and stuff like that. And while yes, there's a huge part of this that's true, that you just have, sometimes you're not going to be ready. You just have to take that step. Um, there is that uh, growing season where you have to just kind of put your head down and grind and just gain insight and gain understanding, gain experience, gain knowledge, so that when the time comes for you to take that step, you're not taking it with nothing, right? You have some confidence in what you are talking about or what you're doing because you've lived a little bit. I thought about it and I was like, yeah, what we know of Jesus and what he did and what he's done was only in the last 3 years of his life. His ministry was 3 years. So other than that, you don't hear anything about Jesus in the Bible. Him as a kid, sure, yeah, for a little bit, for a little bit there as a young kid. Um, but his whole growing up and experiencing life and everything, you think about what you went through between 10 and 30. That's your whole life. That's everything that you've experienced until you obviously get past that in your 40s, 50s, 60s. Then you have experienced other things. But at 30, the things I'm thinking about, reminiscing on, are all within that 20-year pocket, even less, even just like my 20s. So what did Jesus go through in his 20s, in his teens, and all that different stuff that formed him and shaped him and prepared him so that at 30 years old, he started his ministry and within 3 years changed everything forever. So, we're not Jesus, obviously, but we strive to be like him, right? So, I'm 31, so this resonate. I mean, it resonates for me too because of that I'm right at that age, and I'm thinking about like, man, at third, like, boy, oh boy, I need to get moving. I have time, but I need to get moving. But we're also remember that you're in formation. It's not failure, right? It's only failure if you give up. But every time you recognize that you're maybe not doing as much as you could, and you feel like you're not doing enough, think about the ways that you're forming yourself, you're shaping yourself instead of thinking of it as a failure. And then trust God and get moving. Trust God and get moving. That's really what I could say the lesson of the week is: just trust God and get moving. Because, you know, you panic and freak yourself out so much into a state of just paralysis. You're like, I don't know what to do. And you don't, because you don't trust God. And that's what I noticed, that I didn't trust him, wasn't trusting him. Like I said, I do. So it's a little accountability moment. Like, if I say I do, then I really need to stop worrying about this stuff and just make the smallest first step. And so here we are, right? Be fully present where you are. That's the other thing. I think I talked about this a little earlier, but I'll be with my kids and I'm thinking about what I got to do for to start a business. And then I'm at work and I'm thinking about how I want to be with my kids. And then I'm working on my business and I'm thinking about stuff I got to do for work, for my 9 to 5. And that, so, when I think one of the big things is when you're with your kids, off your phone, get off your phone, stop thinking about the other things that you got to do, because 30 minutes of uninterrupted, fully present time with your kids is more valuable to them than you there for 2 hours on your phone, because they're getting your direct attention for a consistent pocket of time. So even if it's 30, 45 minutes that you're just full play mode, pretend mode, whatever it is, whatever your age, whatever age your kid is at, you lock in with them for that period of time, and then maybe you have to jump to the next thing, right? But they will understand, and they'll value the time that you were able to spend with them, fully intentional, right? The worst thing in the world for me is when one of my kids will come up and take my phone out of my hand because they're like, "What are you doing?" My daughter will be like, "Mm-mm. If we can't have screens, you can't have your phone." All right, you're right. Yeah, yeah, you're right. You got it. You got it. Um, but yeah, so when you're with your kids, get off your phone. When you're working, be intentional, right? Work with intention. So, for me, that means when I'm at my 9 to 5, let's give it all I got. There's stuff I can gain from that. Um, yeah, I kept looking at that as like a prison, right? Where it's like, oh, I really don't want to be here. I was just focused on how much I don't want to be there, and that's just not the way. That's just not the way to look at it. I love the work that I do. I love the people that I work with. It's just the fact that I'm working for someone and I'm not doing the thing that I want to be doing. And there's nobody stopping me. The only thing stopping me is me, because I feel like I don't have enough time and that I'm not ready. Um, and then I have to build funnels and like all these different all these different crazy things that I mean, like, they don't have to happen right now. Um, but I want them to. So that's one of those things. When you're resting, actually rest. That's something that if you don't get sleep, because I used to think that maybe if I just sleep 3 or 4 hours, that'll earn me some hours, right? Earn me some time back that I can spend working on something, which I end up just being on my phone anyway. So, uh, you know, whatever. I didn't get myself any time back. I just spent my dopamine a little bit more. Uh, you actually rest, recharge yourself, because you know there are really only so many hours in a day. You might as well spend them more rested and refreshed than more than burnt, right? Burnt out and tired. And then this message is for me, but if it resonates with you, fantastic. No more half working and half worrying all the time. So just the worrying has to go. Let's go back to that faith moment of like, hey, if we have faith, we should be at peace. Peace is faith in action. So I'm going to be at peace while I'm working, work with peace. I'm not going to worry anymore because I'm not getting, it's taking me longer to get my work done because I'm spending it worrying. Finally, the big thing is to surrender control, right? Do your part faithfully. Do the things that you say you are going to do, or what you need to do to make sure that movement and progress is happening, even if it's 1% each day. Do that faithfully. And then the really, really, really huge aspect of all of this that I'm still trying to learn and think about, it's helping me as I'm talking, is to release the results. Let go of the results. Don't worry about what the outcome is going to be. Just create, because you're called to create. Don't worry about what the outcome, because the more you do it, the better organically it's going to get. So don't worry about it. Just let go. Hi, mom. I see you in there. All right. So if you are watching this, the recording of this, if you're listening to it wherever you listen to your podcasts, please comment. Love to read comments. Share what your win of the week was, where you showed up better than last week. How present were you on a scale of 1 to 10? These are maybe just more reflection questions for you. And then I will also have the link to a free guide. So everything that we just talked about, I actually put together a guide, kind of like a 5-minute reset. Do it at the top of your day, or whenever you're feeling overwhelmed, or rushed, that pressure kind of pops up. It's a free download. You put your email address and it'll shoot it over to your email. But a good thing to use whenever you kind of just need that grounding and need that refresher. Also has like pretty much a lot of what we just talked about in there as things to reference and go back to. So really valuable tool. Feel free to download it. I'll put it in the description and a little bit later. But we're going to get to our breakdown, our actual development topic for this week, and that's going to be emotional intelligence from a fatherhood lens, right? So this looks like you maybe just got home after a long day of work, and while you're at work, you're thinking about. I'm literally talking about me. While I'm at work, I'm thinking about how much I miss my kids, and I can't wait to be home. And man, I didn't get to put Luca down last night, so I didn't get to see him. And then I'm gone before he wakes up. So it's been like, it feels like forever since I've seen him. And I get home and something happens where I just turn into like disciplinarian, and I'm snapping on him and going after him after a long day. Right? I'm tired. Did I eat? Who knows? Probably not. Most likely not. Uh, but whatever. I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about how frustrated I am. because he didn't listen the very first time I told him to do something, or he's getting too excited and screaming. And I'm like, "What are you? Stop screaming!" So I snap on him. And maybe you do this too. Maybe right, stressed out, you snap at your kids, you feel guilty about it 10 seconds later. Um, I always tell myself in those moments, I gotta be more present. I need to work on being patient, being more present, and just like taking it easy. But maybe you don't know how to do that, or you don't know why these things are happening. You don't know what's wrong with me. Um, Things that I've asked myself before, but it's ironic that I teach these things for a living and then struggle with them and then not know what's happening. So, in sitting with it and reflecting on it for a little bit, I'm realizing like, okay, there's a way we can navigate this without it just feeling like our emotions are controlling us and we have no control over our emotions, right? Um, so, defining this from the scope of being a dad, fatherhood. Emotional intelligence is your ability to recognize what's happening inside you mentally, emotionally, before it controls how you show up for your family, right? So, in more broad terms, emotional intelligence is recognizing, understanding, and managing your emotions and the emotions of those around you. So the like social awareness of emotions and stuff like that. Um, in the scope of fatherhood is like recognizing, understanding, and managing your emotions before they mess up your environment, before they shape how you show up with your family, because these emotions are natural responses to things in our environment. So it's not that they're unnatural things to feel, but we can control our response to those emotions, and that's where the focus is controlling the response and being able to recognize what emotion is happening before it blows up, right? Or something happens and you snap on your wife, and then you're like, "Oh my god, oh my god, I'm so sorry," right? So three different things. There's awareness, right? There's being able to answer that question, what am I feeling right now? And why am I feeling this? So in my example of coming home and snapping almost immediately, uh, and I'm like, wait, whoa, I need to be more patient. What's going on? If I were thinking more intentionally and slowed down, I would have asked, what am I feeling right now? I'm feeling frustrated. Why am I feeling frustrated? Probably because I just drove for an hour in traffic, coming off of a day of 8 hours of work that I feel like is pointless. Um, and throughout that day, I didn't really eat very much. Huh. I had a couple snacks, so I probably am hangry. I should probably eat something. Oh, maybe I'm just cranky. Hmm. And then regulation, right? What do I do with these feelings? Well, it's definitely not Luca's fault about with all of that. Maybe what I do, because I can't just flip a switch and feel better, maybe I take a step out, right? Maybe that's communication with your spouse to say, hey, I need like 5 minutes. Maybe that's doing that before you even come in the house. Maybe that's your moment in the car where you sit there for 5 minutes and just, or if you work from home, you're in the office, you're wrapping things up for the day. You're like, all right, before I transition from this mental state of work to the mental state of parenthood, let me take at least 5 minutes to breathe, and think about like, okay, what is my intention for the next few hours? What do I need to accomplish over the next few hours? So what do I do with these feelings? Maybe I uh, process them for a second and then give myself an opportunity to kind of put them where they need to go. Uh, and then connection, right? So how does this impact my kids and my family? Well, when I come home and I'm cranky and frustrated and hangry, and impatient, it probably puts everyone on high alert, and everyone's like, "Oh, careful." So what happens if that keeps happening, right? Then every time I come home, everyone's gonna have their guard up immediately. Be like, "All right, Dad's home. Everybody, everybody, relax. Don't don't make any sudden movements. He's gonna snap." right? And I don't want that to be the perspective that my kids and my family have of me. So the connection, we need to think about that too. So you pause, right? You take an opportunity to step away. You manage what's going on, whatever breathing technique, whatever it is that you have to do, so that you again don't ruin that connection. Okay, so this is kind of captured in another example, the Target meltdown, walking through Target. And I think this is another pretty common thing that will happen with dads, maybe moms too. I know we all go there, okay? Um, but I know for me, something about going to Target. I love Target. Okay, I love Target. I do enjoy a good Target run, a good Walmart run. Get out, kind of, you're just kind of looking around at stuff, no real intention on getting anything, but you're just there. You're just looking around. When we're there with everybody, with the kids, everything, we got the grocery list, everything that we got to get. I'm not trying to do all of that. I'm in and out. Let's go in, let's get the stuff, let's get out. If we want to get out of the house, let's do that, and then let's go to the park. So let's do Target runs when we're, you know, alone. So dads at the grocery store with their family, I feel like are the ones that are just like grumpy. But I feel like I was doing a pretty good job. We were at Target. You know, I knew what to expect, so I was like talking myself through it. I'm like, it's okay. Get myself a drink. I can sip on a drink through the store and just kind of have a good time. Um, if kids freak out too much, we can always break out Miss Rachel. We can always get Bluey going. That's something always to have in the back pocket, to use in case of emergency. So with these meltdowns, when your kid wants something or they don't want something, they don't want to be in the cart, or they want to be in the cart and they can't be in the cart. They want to be on the side of the cart, or they want to climb under, or they want to run, they want to race down the whatever, down the aisles, and they can't, and they freak out and they have a big meltdown. What most dads do, what most of us default to, because we're like, okay, we're in the middle of a store right now, this is not happening. We react instantly, raise our voice, get that bass in your voice, shut it down. You're, hey, enough, right? You get that, you get to where they're like, ooh. You try to put fear in them, right, so that they stop. Because what's really happening, right? If you think about what's going on, what's really happening is maybe a little bit of embarrassment because you're out in public. Some of us as parents, we're past that. That was 2 kids ago. Well, I'm not getting embarrassed. I don't care what happens. I don't care if you're screaming and people are walking by. I don't care. But some of us, we get embarrassed. Your face gets hot. You're like, oh my god, please stop making so much noise in the middle of this place. I don't want people coming up to me, because then you have the other parents they come up and they're like, "Oh, I remember that. I missed that. I missed that." And you're like, yeah, good, thanks. Take care. So you might feel embarrassed. Sometimes it's like a loss. It's like a power struggle. You feel like you're losing control over the situation. Um, so you get real aggressive to try to shut it down. And from a neuroscientific perspective, it's the part of the fear center of your brain, called the amygdala, is being triggered right in that moment. And if you think about it, we all typically have like a default way that we lean. You've heard of like the fight or flight or freeze type of response. That is moments of stress. Um, Evolutionarily, or what is that? Is that a word? But thinking about it from an evolutionary perspective, um, if you were being chased by a saber-toothed tiger or something like that, that amygdala is going to kick in, fear center, the stress cortisol is dumping into your body, and you're making a decision: do I run? Do I fight? Do I just kind of shut down? And if you think about it, in the middle of the target, you can't run, you can't really shut down, right? So your only options are fight, and your amygdala takes over. It hijacks your prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for like logic and reasoning and thinking in a way that makes sense, you're done. You're cooked from that perspective. The fear has taken over, and it's not that you're actually afraid, but you're so in a state of stress that your body has just kind of defaulted to, we're going to fight right now. I'm fighting this saber-toothed tiger and I'm going to take his teeth out. And so you're raising your voice and you're like, hey, shut it down. And you get aggressive like that. And that's why after you're like, whoa, what the, right? Like 30 minutes later, you're like, that was crazy. That was crazy that I got like that. And I hate that I get like that. I don't know why I get like that. But the shift, right, is in those moments. And it's really just practice. It happens, if it happens enough that you're able to catch it in the moment. And you feel the things that you typically feel when you're getting stressed out. I like, for me, it's my face gets hot. I'm like, oh, I feel my face getting hot. I know that I'm about to do something that is not smart if I don't take a second to breathe, maybe go to the bathroom, take a lap. And I get that sometimes you can't really like step away from the situation, but there's got to be a way to pause, right? And just like, everybody stop for a second, and let's dial it back so that we can label what's happening. Like, maybe it's something you say out loud. And like, we have to pause because I feel like I'm getting frustrated and I don't want this to turn into something that is going to make everyone upset. So let's just cool down, right? And realize what's happening with your kid. Have enough empathy to think about from their perspective what's going on and why they might be freaking out. Because as a kid, they don't have the connection with their prefrontal cortex, their logic and reasoning center of their brain. That's not developed like yours is, right? So you're telling them you can't get ice cream. You're like, well, of course you can't get ice cream. Is you can't just open the tub of ice cream in Target and eat it. You can't do that. But to them, you're telling them no, they can't have ice cream. So they're losing it. And it makes you want to lose it until you realize, like, oh man, they don't know what's happening. Um, and me coming down on them is not gonna make them feel better. Even if they stop, they're stopping because they're afraid, not because they understand what's happening. So slowing down, right? Slow until smooth. Smooth is faster than speed. You can resolve that situation a lot more effectively if you take your time with it rather than trying to just shut it down. Because then it might resolve, but it's not going to resolve the way you would like it to, right? I think about discipline moments with this too. And sometimes I'm like, I don't even know if this counts as an opportunity, as like a time that I should be disciplining. Is this a time that I should be disciplining my kid? And so it's going back and asking myself the question in those moments, because a lot of the times it's right when I'm in the thick of feeling that like my face is getting hot and I'm getting overstimulated and there's too many noises happening, and I'm I'm getting overstimulated because I'm also thinking about so many. My brain is racing, thinking about all these different things that I need to do, or I'm supposed to do, or want to do, or whatever. And then while thinking that means I'm not present, and then all the kids are trying to ask me something. TV's blaring. There's food on the stove. My wife is asking me something. Shiloh's screaming. So I'm getting overstimulated. And usually it's in those moments that I find myself uh, disciplining. But then I'm like, for those listening that's not watching the video, I did air quotes when I said disciplining. Uh, am I correcting a behavior right now, or am I just releasing frustration? Right? That's the question that you need to ask in those moments when you're like, is this a moment where discipline is appropriate or necessary or needed, or are they just expressing themselves and I'm not in a place that I'm able to receive that, so I'm just shutting them down. I'm coming down on them, sending them to their room or something like that instead of talking it through or something, um, showing them by example how maybe they're frustrated right? And they're lashing out because that's what they see you do, or that's what, so now you're disciplining them because they're behaving like you. I don't know, that doesn't seem fair. So are you correcting a behavior? And if that's the case, then what's the most effective way to correct the behavior? Because shouting at them or sending them to the room is probably not the answer. It's just because you're frustrated, right? And you're trying to get that frustration out. There are times where, and this sounds terrible to say, but there are times where I'll come down on my kids on purpose to make them feel bad because they've annoyed me or they've bothered me or something like that, to where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put this in perspective for you so that you feel bad for this. And that's purely me releasing frustration in those moments. And like, fortunately, I'll catch myself very quickly and be like, all right, hey, look, it's all right. Don't worry about it. You're good. Let's let it go. It's fine. But what's really going on under the surface in those moments? If you can really pause for a second and answer that question when you're feeling yourself wanting to snap and lose it, um, I think you're in a good place, or you're ready to start stepping back from uh, just blowing up and going off the handle. So just some reminders. Last few reminders there is the goal here is not to be a perfect dad. Um, that's like, I feel like the expectation or the standard that we all put on ourselves is like, you have to be the perfect dad. Um, but that's not what we're trying to be, right? We're not going to attain that. So we're not trying to spend our time on that. We're not trying to be a perfect dad. We're trying to be present, and we're trying to be aware. Just think about it like that. I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm just trying to be present and aware of what's going on. Um, I don't want to be that dad that just is like, I don't know what's going on in my kids' lives. When I'm home, I'm just on the couch on my phone watching sports. Um, the Masters are coming up next week, the week after, something like that. Um, I know I'm going to want to watch them, and I will watch them. Playoffs, NBA playoffs are coming up pretty soon. I'm going to watch them, but I'm going to be present too. It's going to be a family affair. We're going to be watching, and everyone's going to learn about these sports. But yeah, your kids aren't even looking for you to be perfect. They don't need, nor do they want you to be perfect. And you don't want them to want you to be perfect. Trust me, because they're going to want to see how they need to behave, right? They're modeling what they know of how to operate off of what they see from you, right? From you and your partner as parents. So they need to see somebody make a mistake and repair that mistake, right? Apologize and own it. They need to see someone be consistent with those kinds of actions, so that they know when they slip up and they mess up, that it's okay, right? But they need to own it, right? Instead of they mess up and then they fail. That's not what you want for your kids. So model that, right? Um, I thought about the other day that, like, calm dads raise calm kids, steady dads raise steady kids, and it's kind of like that too. That, intentional, uh, present and aware dads raise intentional, present and aware kids, right? Simple, simple stuff. Yeah, this emotional intelligence stuff is not about getting it right every time. It's really just about speeding up the amount of time that it takes to catch yourself and then bounce back, right? It's like a mindset shift. You're never supposed to, it's impossible, right, to just always have a positive mindset and be in a good place and good attitude and all that stuff. That's not the goal. We're not striving to be positive mindset 100% of the time. We know that we're going to fall into a negative mindset every so often, uh, but the goal is to catch that when it happens and make the adjustment quicker each time, so that maybe it can happen in a moment, right? Right in the moment, in the present moment, where you feel yourself getting hot and you're like, "Whoo, I know what's happening. I know where this is coming from. I know I don't need to feel this way. I can make a choice here. Deep breath, step away for a second, I'm good. And then you're back, right? And that can happen pretty quickly. Sometimes it's not going to happen like that though. So that's okay. But we'll get there, right? It's every day is a journey, right? So progress, take it a day at a time. We'll be good. This challenge should help though. So we're for our dad challenge over the next week. Um, we're naming it. We're calling it the Pause, Name, Choose framework. Pretty simple to remember. Pause, name, choose. This is what you can use in those moments when you start to feel your emotions boiling over, you feel your face getting hot. Maybe for you, it's like your stomach hurts or something, or you feel like the ball in your throat or something like that, like you're choking up a little bit. Maybe your chest gets tight. That's a big one for me. I feel my chest starting to get tight. My face gets hot. I feel like I'm gonna explode. So in these moments when you feel like that, um, here's this framework. Pause means create space, right? So whatever that means, if it's like, hey, we're gonna play the quiet game, no one's talking, or if you're able to like, hey, I'm gonna go in the garage. I'm just gonna go sit in the garage for like 5 minutes. I'll be right back. Step outside or something. Do what you gotta do. Closet. Closet's a good one. I'll go in the closet sometimes and be like, I just need to sit in the closet for a second. Whew. All right, I'm good. And I'm back. Change while you're in there, maybe. Um, Create that space. And while in that space that you've created is the next part of the framework. So you pause, then you name. So you create that space and then you name. What are you feeling? I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling embarrassed. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling overstimulated. I'm feeling hungry. Whatever it is, I'm feeling tired. Um, Name it, right? Take some space, name what is happening, what you're feeling, and then choose. Okay, how do I want to show up right now? I'm frustrated. I'm tired. I didn't get a good sleep last night. Um, I haven't had any time to myself. So I'm feeling real on edge. And yeah, I don't like it. Okay, so how do I want to show up right now? Do I want to show up impatient and snapping on everybody and taking it out on them? How do I want to show up right now? Because I know why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. So I know now that I don't have to respond like this. I can make a plan and say, all right, maybe I'm not getting time to myself right now, but I'm going to go out there. I'm going to keep it cool. I'm going to tell my wife, hey, later when the kids go to bed, I'm playing video games. I'm going to the driving range. I'm going to bed. I'm going wherever. I'm going to go do something. I need some time to myself. I am not in a good headspace, but I'm here. I don't want to take that out on y'all. I'm cool, but when I get the opportunity, I'm out of here, and I'll see you. And I'll see you when I see you. Love you. We'll smooch. Okay, and I'm gone. All right. So how do you want to show up? Right. There's a way to plan out your time. Right. Maybe you can communicate on what makes sense. Uh, so that you can have a moment. But whatever the feeling is, whatever you've named, now choose. How do I want to show up? Given that I feel this way, what do I want to do right now about this? Practice that over the week. Would love to next week come back and see what the results were, some comments, some messages, some DMs. You can find, if you want to go find us we're live on YouTube right now. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe if you've gotten this far and you're still like, wow, this is good. Please subscribe because we need it. We need it. This is the start of what we're hoping becomes something pretty big. We need a community. We need some support. We need some dads that are like, yes, let's talk about these things more. I'm here for it. I'm with it. But we're also on Instagram. We're on TikTok at DadSignal Pod. You can follow, shoot us a DM, answer. It's me, right? So I'm answering right away. But yeah, practice these over the next week. Give some feedback on how they are, what they do for you, and what you're experiencing. We're wrapped in an hour and 11 minutes. That feels pretty good. That feels pretty good for a first episode. I'm going to take that as a dub, as a win. I feel great. Thank you for the two viewers that have been here this whole time. Next week, we'll shoot for 4, and we'll see if we grow. But until then, thank you, and we'll see you next week.